Awesome. I think we're live. Welcome everybody to the new webinar series, Search Standard. We're going to talk about everything to do with like AI search, AEO, GEO, AIO, whatever you want to call it at the minute, how AI affects like agency operations, and of course, how AI is affecting hiring in the 2026 market as well. Delighted to have 3 clients on board today for this one, absolute industry experts for the first episode. So yeah, if you guys want to go to give a quick intro, bit of background about yourselves as well, that would be great. Anthony, do you want to kick it off?
All right. Thank you very much, Daris. So hello, everyone. I'm Anthony, co-founder and MD of StudioHawk UK. That's what it says on the tin. We're an SEO-only agency focused on getting better results from Google, Bing, AI search, LLMs, whatever you want to call it these days. We're a global agency based in Melbourne, Sydney, UK, and Atlanta, with over 100 specialists just focusing on SEO and AI search. That's me. Charlie.
Cool, thank you, Anthony. Yeah, so I'm Charlie, Head of SEO and AI search at SiteLogic. So we're a small team based across the US and the UK, but like to think of ourselves in terms of having quite a big impact. And I'm probably quite unique in terms of I've had experience of search for hire, both in terms of the hiring process myself, going through that, and then also now in a process of actually hiring to build out our team as well. So yeah, Kevin.
Awesome. Cool, brilliant. Yeah, so I'm Kevin. We're part of a small operation based in Nottingham, so GrowTech.io, and we specialize in kind of a more holistic, I know it's a buzzword, organic growth system, where we kind of tie in, technical SEO, which is our foundation, as well as working with partners across website development, authority building, etc., to give a more full offering in terms of revenue for our clients.
Yeah, I love it. We had to kick things off. Obviously, AIO video is sort of more prominent now than it's probably ever been. It sort of started coming into the fold probably about 12 months ago or so. Over that sort of period of time, was there like a key conversation, whether it be with like a client where they've come in and demanded, this is what we want to rank for, we want to rank within ChatGPT or whatever sort of their chosen LLM is, that sort of made you think, right, we need to rebuild our service, we need to sort of offer this as like a core offering?
Cool. So yeah, I'm happy to kick off. Mine's actually from a slightly different angle. So we've obviously had, exactly the same conversations I think everyone's having, right? Like people come in with those exact questions. How do we gain visibility? Everything else. The penny drop for me actually was when my friends don't mind me saying this either, like my group of friends I've had all my life, they're probably not the most technically advanced. And when I was with them and their search behavior started to noticeably change, and we'd be down like where it is like just out and about down the pub, and they would like be probably like ChatGPT first and then move it on to like whether it's like, obviously not like buying decisions necessarily, but that was actually when I started to think, this is obviously, we knew it was going to happen, but so it really is changing now. And if it's happening for a group of friends I've had in my life, then it's no doubt happening for our clients, kind of perspectives, like their potential clients and customers as well. So I think that was for me as like an SEO who's probably relied on Google a bit too heavily all my life, was like, okay, now we probably need to be really thinking about this and like accelerating our offering.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. We get questions from clients. It is quite funny that they would lead in with that AEO or whatever they want to call it, GEO kind of conversation. And a lot of the times the fundamentals just haven't been taken care of. So it's more so, I think, leading with that as a conversation starter, I'd say. That's what we're finding with a lot of our clients. But then we tend to lean into obviously the revenue building stuff, which is always gonna, that's never gonna be out of fashion. Customers aren't going to say no to more revenue on from what we're doing. So it's tying it back to that, and I think SEO is now being sold as what it was supposed to be sold as a revenue driving kind of practice, rather than just trying to get clicks, traffic, because that's going to be on the decline, right? And there's so much stuff out there. I think there was a recent interview with somebody quite prominent in one of these publications. I can't remember the exact name. And they were talking about they treat clicks as like, they're not going to have any clicks next year. And that's kind of how they treat their marketing. So I think I think in general, we've been moving in this direction for a while. So revenue is never going to be out of fashion. So yeah, that's kind of what we've always focused on.
Awesome.
Yeah, for us in these conversations, when it started to kick off, AI search or whatever you want to call it is now the door that people are walking through to finally get to SEO. And some of the conversations we're having is working with Ecom brands and some B2Bs, but it's like you need a Toyota when people are out, but they're asking for a Ferrari. And there's like, we need AI search, we need AI search. It's like, your website, as Kevin said, your website's no good. You've neglected it or you've spent too much on paid. And then shiny toy syndrome, everyone wants to jump on AI search. It's like, bro, the fundamentals aren't even there. And even when you dive deeper into AI search at this current stage, the fundamentals of SEO are helping you to get onto AI search. So speaking to a lot of clients, it's like they're focusing on the 0.01% of users. And that'll change in 2, 3, 5 years as people become power users. Like we're all power users here using ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity every day. So our sort of perception of AI is going to be so much more game changing because we're using it every day and we're seeing how impactful it is, while our clients are like, oh cool, I can write a blog on this Claude in like 3 seconds. Cool. But still working to understand how it actually, the fundamentals of your website, the fundamentals of what are your goals? Do you want to make more revenue? You want to make more lead forms, whatever that may be. So what we found is that it's helping people to get into the door. Like, cool, I need to focus on my website or organic search, but they're coming in as I need to improve on AI. But it's like, yeah, slow your roll, G. Just focus on fundamentals of SEO first because your website's no good or your content's no good or you got no links and all of that. Then you can focus on the cherry on top, which is optimizing for those platforms like Perplexity and Arrow Mode and things like that, which is the cherry on top at this stage.
Awesome. And one of the things that stood out, I was also looking through all of the websites before we started this. I think both Anthony and Charlie, your sort of companies, you're adding it as like a sort of a new productized service, as well as SEO. Kevin, you like what you've done like for sort of fully encompassed with like SEO, and that becomes part of the package. What sort of led to that decision is it purely just to rank within LLMs or to give that client's peace of mind? Is that why you put that on the website, or was there any sort of more strategic thinking going on behind that?
Charles?
Yeah, so I would say a bit of both. So to be honest, the way we kind of probably split it out on the website is to actually directly answer some of the questions and like what we're getting from clients in terms of what and Kevin have mentioned, that's their foot in the door at the moment. So it's almost as if we see them, like we know, like, yeah, this is kind of, yeah, what you're concerned about. But it really, I'd say actually the core offerings and in terms of the deliverables, a lot of it is actually still quite integrated. Like I'm a huge believer, like it's just to echo these guys, that like the fundamentals are so closely aligned that if you do one without the other, you're gonna be leaving something on the table. So that's kind of, it's, yeah, from the outside, it might look a little bit more separate than actually it is. We still get a lot of questions. I'd love to actually ask, yeah, these guys about that, but like in terms of, I don't know, agencies that specialize in one specific sector, like, I don't know, whether it's Reddit or whatnot. So we're obviously getting concerned, maybe like CEOs reach out and say kind of like, how do we do this? And when we specifically don't have like, when we might not have an offering or even necessarily want to, because we don't necessarily know the overall impact. So yeah, it's a little bit kind of, some parts are integrated, others aren't, basically, to kind of, yeah, I guess the long answer there. So yeah, the fundamentals still matter, as these guys say, I think. So
yeah, we're still the same. Like, yeah, we've got it separated out, just as Charlie said, to like answer those queries and provide a bit of context, because as I mentioned, like people are coming through the AI search door. So even if they've never heard of SEO before, it's like, how do I get to top of AI? And you've got those pages on your website, you've got that content there to try and answer that. So then bring them back into, yes, it's still the fundamentals of SEO, but you've come in through the phrase or prompt or whatever it might be under AI search or what is AEO? And then, you know, our respective websites have got the content there to be able to bring that answer in. And then, yeah, when you're having those chats, you have those lead calls, you're educating them. Yeah, it's part of your process. Audit the website, look at the content. Still fundamentals of SEO, but yeah, similar to Charlie, being able to answer those queries online to then bring them through the door and educate them about SEO.
Awesome, Kevin.
Yeah, so I think I took a very similar approach when I first started thinking about this, And then I started really thinking about our clients' needs, and it's always been, as a growth partner. And I was having a conversation with somebody that we had on our podcast, and the way he talked about SEO was organic growth. He kept talking about organic growth. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I think then a light bulb kind of flicked, in my head, and I thought, okay, maybe we should really just talk about organic growth, because that's what clients really want to get. We're not selling technical SEO, we're not selling content production, we're selling organic growth. That's what they really need from us. So I've tried to position the website with that in mind. I've still got some work to do to refresh the website, but yeah, from now on, we are talking about organic growth, and that could be, oh, you need technical SEO for the first 3 months to get the structure right, and then maybe we can start focusing on your brand, your authority, and all those other signals that are going to drive the LLM kind of visibility. But let's focus on this first. But it's just part of the same organic growth system and strategy that has all these different levels, and we kind of try and take them through those different levels. So yeah, we've tried to just align ourselves in terms of what I think our clients are probably going to be looking for.
Awesome. And Anthony, you mentioned it being kind of like a front door into the SEO side of things. Is it almost like sort of like a loss leader in that respect? Do clients come, and are they, when it comes to like the reporting side of things, is there a separate reporting for like the SEO KPIs, and do they have specific deliverables when it comes to like AI search?
No, at the moment, we've just been looking at prompt tracking and how that feeds into the overall strategy. Because at the end of the day, as Kevin was saying, like, it's organic growth. So how much, and working with a lot of ecom brands, transactions, revenue, traffic, like we need to bring them in the door. How's it all performing? How's the conversions going? So those are the goals at still the end of the day. But it's nice, like additional data for them to be like, oh, okay, how's the prompt tracking going? What are we sort of coming up for? And yeah, there's like heaps of tools out there. So, pick your poison at this stage, but at least gives the clients a bit more context as to, all right, this is why we're creating this content. This is why we need to do some digital PR or link building or whatever as part of the overall strategy. Because then it's just nice intel for them to make better content, better product descriptions, better collection pages, whatever it might be. But the end goal is still, how can we build up our equity on organic search? How can we beat competitors? How can we take their lunch? How can we reduce our PPC costs? We don't really split it out. It's all still in the same. It's all still in the monthly SEO report. Still in the dashboards. So it's all still there. We don't really split it out. We might have like a slide that explains some of the things we might have done in regards to AI search, just to make it real clear. Like, hey, are you guys doing anything on AI search? Yes, here you go. Just to make it clear on the communication front.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned obviously Ecom, Kevin. I know you focus a lot in the B2B side of things as well. Do you think there's a difference or a higher demand across those different verticals for this type of sort of product or service?
Yeah, I'll say so. We've had some pitches where we've actually lost the deal because we weren't AEO or AI specific enough. So I think particularly in SaaS, I think they're more focused and more worried about it, because I guess they're at the front of technology. So this is a new technology. This is the thing that's gonna get sign off. If you try and get I guess an investor to I guess purchase SEO services, they want to make sure whatever provider that they're with is at the front and center of this new technology. So I think maybe we missed a trick there in terms of those SaaS businesses. I mean, we can definitely help them. We can do all the things around AEO or whatever that needs to be done moving forward. But from a positioning standpoint, I think potentially SaaS. I mean, our ecom clients don't really care. In all honesty, I mean, we might have the conversation here and there, but honestly, they just worried about their bottom line, their margins, their most profitable products, etc., and those revenue targets that they want to hit. AEO comes into the conversation here and there, but it's more so just like on the sidelines, I'd say. But yeah, for the SaaS businesses that we've spoken with, it's everything. Yeah, we want to be this, and they kind of forget everything else. It's like thrown out the window.
Awesome. And Charlie, you're more sort of professional services, is that right? What does that sort of market look like? I think you're muted, Charlie. I'm not sure.
It should be working.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so professional services and target SaaS, like Kevin mentioned. So we definitely see more on the SaaS clients that are kind of a little bit more concerned around it. I say professional services, we are probably the ones kind of pushing it a little bit more potentially. Some of their ICPs are a little bit maybe like going back to like what Anthony said earlier about us. We're obviously living in this, so this is our day to day, right? So some of those target audiences that we're kind of trying to reach out for, it's not always the case, but I still think kind of laying the foundations is obviously like hugely important, because I genuinely do think kind of whether we like it or not, with something like AI mode, that users that are probably not going to even want to go down this like route are going to be pushed into it in some ways in terms of just consuming AI synthesized answers a lot more. So like ensuring that our content is like I hate the phrase, but like prepared for that is like really important for all of our clients, whether they're kind of the requirement is right now for them.
Awesome. And for those maybe slightly more junior people that are watching, who are just sort of recently joined the SEO industry and now this is as well, beyond like schema, answer first content, FAQs, what is is there an underrated tactic that you find actually drives citation across those different LLMs or Google AI mode, like you mentioned?
I'm happy to dive in here. So one thing we found really effective is in terms of like the retrievability of text, and in terms of like preparing it for those, say, like AI synthesized answers, is actually kind of like trying to chunk down the content on a web, like client's website or specific page, and then aligning that like through like vector embeddings and cosine similarity with the actual AI answers that are being generated like and repeatedly shown to users, and trying to align that. So almost like I'd compare it to like back in the day where we would do like page optimizations where we'd be targeting like specific keywords where we know we rank on page 1, for example, but aren't like back in the years, so like position 1 previously, doing something similar where we know we have presence on traditional Google and in some kind of LMM models, and just trying to reverse engineer the answers in that way, and we kind of built out a script that kind of helps us do that. It's obviously very hard to do at scale with like a client that has thousands of pages, because obviously ideally we'd have like a 1,000-foot view of all their content chunked and like all of the most like relevant pieces of content to like an AI answer that might be generated for like different prompts. So that's really hard, and that's something I think we'd love to kind of build out, but that was like a script we just kind of worked on and some internal tooling. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be at that level, but I think, and again, this is kind of getting into that hiring, as you say, like juniors, like some experimentation, and even more so like just a curiosity, I would say. Like I wouldn't expect someone to have kind of completed anything like wow, like this is like a tool ready to go to market, obviously, because if they had, they would be positioning it themselves. But just some experimentation, playing around with it and like seeing what works and what doesn't. So that's kind of like it's a 2-point answer there.
Awesome. Anthony, how are you seeing it across? You obviously have like a sort of team of like 15 or so, if I'm right. What does that sort of like training and development look like for those like SEO techs when it comes to AI? Do you have like specific like SOPs that they follow now, or?
Building out SOPs, building out a learning management system, and being able to just try and build in the AI native use, even just regardless from an SEO perspective, just starting to get them to think about, how do I use Claude? How do I prompt this? What can I do from a company perspective or my own perspective to make my day faster, better, do things more efficiently and effectively? So that's more from an operational perspective, looking at how we can use it to do things faster, better, provide more value to the client, and getting them to think in that way. It's not going to be perfect. And then as they trying to just give a bit of license to use these tools to try and speed it up, and then collate those experiences and then build guidelines around it so people just don't go full off track. There's so many things happening in this world. It's like, we've got to try this. Claude just did this new feature, blah, blah, blah. And then a lot of people lose track of how, from an operational perspective, how AI tool or the thing that they're working on or the Claude prompt they're doing can actually improve their agency, because there's so many things going on. So they just latch on to the latest thing, and then you're 3 months down the track going, what have we actually built? Nothing. Yeah. From an SEO perspective, we're just understanding, like similar to Charlie, just test what, honestly, continuing to learn, continuing to read articles, continuing to see what other people are testing in the sort of field, and then with some brands starting to basically test different schema markup, continue to get not only digital PR and traditional link building, but then also just getting brand mentions and those citations, even if there's not a link in some of these things, just these LLMs are crawling these articles and seeing the brand mention. Cool. So from an operational perspective, use it, but with guidelines. From an SEO perspective, as Charlie says, continuing to test, and that's what SEO is, just testing and seeing what works and changing up again.
So are those, just to quickly jump in, so like those guidelines, are they just trying to guard against like the overall like output of like how much is like AI assisted in a way? Like, because I feel like there might be some, not for everyone, but like people like to rely on it, right, to generate like strategy documents and whatnot. And there's certain tells, right, that like if passed to a client might devalue the output. Like, is that what you're trying to guard against there, or?
So you're looking at, you just don't want to, as we know, we just don't want to spin up and spew out a bunch of stuff. So the guidelines from an operational perspective are, remember why we're doing this, remember why you're doing this. Basically just don't fall into the rabbit holes of like spending hours and hours and then it doesn't work. And then as an agency, like, yeah, we just want to like everyone on Claude, and then you just give a shotgun to everyone basically, and then who knows what the hell's going to happen. So from an operational perspective, just giving basic guidelines to remember the why of what we're doing, and how can this or will this impact making your day better and being able for you to do more things quickly, great, and how it can provide more value to the client. And then from an SEO perspective, there's other guidelines you could create where it's just like, don't copy and paste stuff straight away. Make sure like there's those guidelines as well, but more for us on an operational perspective, having those guidelines where people just don't fall into the rabbit hole. I think a lot of us here would already be just don't copy paste stuff. Don't just leave it all up to AI and things like that. But, sometimes you need to have those guidelines as well to make it extra sure.
Awesome. And Kevin, you're obviously a lean team going through growth as well at the minute, bringing on another new team member. How do you sort of balance keeping up with the sort of the changes in AI, like Anthony said, all those new tools, processes, while still sort of focusing on your core offering as well for clients?
Yeah, one of our team members actually introduced something like a shared space on LinkedIn, because that's our source of knowledge, I guess. There's always something new like every day. So we've got a shared group on LinkedIn. So if somebody sees something really interesting, they'll just like pop it into our shared chat. So that's kind of how we try and keep up, because there's so many things, honestly. Like you might see like 3 or 4 or 5 different posts and then just forget about it. So we just try and share it straight away. And there's always interesting things being done, I think, in the space. So that's how we kind of keep up in terms of knowledge. And I agree, like QA is so important, especially when we're using these tools. We don't want the output to look like it's just low effort and there's no thought behind it. Why are we doing this? Let's not just tick a box. I mean, in our team, we work in a pod system. So basically I'm involved with our clients still quite heavily from a strategic direction point of view. So I always try and challenge whoever's working on the account, in terms of the commercial value. Are we aligned to their buyers? We don't want to just optimize for optimize sake. We don't just want to go after this keyword because it's going to bring in traffic. Okay, are we actually aligning the messaging with the buyers? So a basic example could be, the homepage. Is that an accurate description of what this brand does and who they serve? And a lot of the times it's not. So, let's start there, and then, okay, let's feed into the About Us section, making sure that's relevant. And then, of course, it feeds into the product descriptions, maybe even the collection titles. If it's Ecom, are we saying this product is for this particular audience? For example, we work with a brand that services a lot of the elderly. So at a simple optimization perspective, we want to make sure that we've got, associated terms like adults or what have you. So I think it's just trying to take things back a step and try and think about the commercial impact. I think when it comes to juniors, because sometimes they just think best practice, or they'll read a guide and just follow the guide and then just forget about why, like why are we doing this? I think that's it.
Awesome. And one of the things that we've actually done internally is we've built like a brain within, whether it's like It's actually in a Google Doc, so we download it and put it into like Manus or Claude, whatever. So anything that we do, it goes back to like our core values, our ICP, all of that, to make sure everything's tailored. So if we're creating like a custom pitch deck now, where originally we used to have just one deck and we go through it for every client, now it's bespoke to that client, what they're looking for, their hiring pain points, their niche, etc. Have you guys built like a brain for the team, so that, like you said, Anthony, those guardrails are up and it's enforcing that why behind everything that they do?
Yeah, for us, we've started to test out, like, I know a lot of people are using it for like their second brain, or their like as a resource hub and things like that. So I think it can help, whether you use like a Notebook LM or you build a Claude or whatever you want to do. So we've tried to build like either knowledge hubs or brand hubs, or basically a resource hub for clients. They'll feed us their brand book and things like that. So one, it provides the team with a constantly growing sort of hub for the client, so there's better client knowledge. And then if you're going to use it for LLMs and whatnot, they've got better reference points to then create content or do the collection titles, do above the fold content, whatever it might be. So yeah, it's like testing that's been good fun. But again, humans still need to humans understand the nuance and have the real life experience of how it all works, so that they can understand what good is. Just but it's working for us.
Awesome. And Charlie, you congrats, recently spoke at Brighton SEO as well. I think your talk covered about automating Screaming Frog workflows with Google Apps scripts and AI. Realistically, like at the minute, what sort of percentage of execution within sort of SiteLogic is now like AI assisted?
Yeah, so it would be very high, to be honest, but I think assisted would be doing like a lot of heavy lifting there. Like in terms of assisted could mean, so again, what Anthony said, so we have like crawl projects for like each client, so try to break it down in that way. So it might just be like, once all the strategic work's been done, we might just run it through there just to get like a pulse check on like, oh yeah, this is the ICP that they mentioned on their last calls, basically, or their kickoff call, for example. So it might just be like a super quick check-in. But yeah, to put a percentage on it, would be difficult, but it's definitely over like 60%, 70%, especially like in terms of my output. But as I say, like assisted is like, it could just be very, very, very quick. In terms of automation, overall, like in general, like something like our content creation process has been, an optimization process has probably been like transformed in like the last 12 months, I would say, in terms of like what we're leveraging with like Claude Co-work, and again, trying to tap into documents that have been like supplied and shared by clients, and they're happy in what they're sharing with us in terms of like brand tone of voice, style guides, etc., and ensuring that any content that's generated as a first draft is like grounded in that. But I think, I can't remember use that word mentally, but like humans always has like the final pass, right? So there's still like, probably I'd like the step to be a little bit less, but it's still quite substantial right now. And I think that's actually a good thing, because that's how we differentiate ourselves, right? Like as an agency, and like everyone on this call, like it's terms of, we can't just hand over to AI, because it's just not there really, and that's a good thing. So yeah, it's quite high in terms of the percentage of overall like AI assisted work that we're doing, but we're still kind of managing that balance and how we keep the quality as high as possible.
And out of curiosity for all three of you guys, is there any client pushback to how much you are leveraging AI? Because obviously they're paying you guys as the experts. Is there limits to what you guys can do, or are more clients sort of like you mentioned, Kevin, like in the SaaS space, are they more like use as much as you can, like we want to get deliverables as quick as possible, that kind of thing?
I think there's more acceptance around it, honestly. Like even industries that you wouldn't think would be using it, they are using it quite a lot. Like even like the legal industry, like as an example, I think they are using AI a lot more to create their content or help or assist with their content creation. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think, yeah, I mean, like, for example, the legal sector is changing so quickly. So they need to produce articles at a very quick rate with all the changes in legislation, etc. So I think they are more accepting of it. Of course, you have to be very careful and still have that human element to just double check what you're saying is actually accurate. But yeah, even one of our clients recently that we started working with, they use Claude to help design their website, and mock up changes, which is quite cool. And so sometimes we learn from our clients in terms of what they're doing, because they're doing some cool stuff. So I think in general, everyone's kind of accepted the fact that we are all using these things, I think.
And have you guys ever experienced like where AI has gone wrong in the delivery for a client, like a mistake or maybe like a near miss, where Anthony, maybe you then led like, we need guardrails in place for this?
Yeah, like, to be honest, we're all about detail here. So like, I'd really like wrap the team over the knuckles if that happened. But you just want to make sure that you avoid, one, the obvious, but two, you're getting paid to be the specialist. And if you let those things slip through, you miss, like, they're paying you for a job. And if you just outsource it, you just get lazy. So for us, we're pretty strong on detail. So like, we haven't had that issue yet, and ideally never do. But some of the common ones you'd see, and even in bloody newspapers and stuff like that, they leave the prompts in. Or I've had one, I'll tell you this one. I had one probably 6 months ago where this guy reached out to our website, and he sent an email to us asking for SEO or whatever, and he'd left the whole prompt in the email, and then 5 minutes later said, ignore the prompt. And it's like, are you for real, bro? So it was like, that's one experience I've seen where it's just like, people just, the outsourcing the laziness, which is a problem. But for us, making sure you double, triple check it, making sure that it aligns with whatever those goals are. And then, like, same thing, if you're selling a service or you're selling yourself on quality or detail and all that, you got to follow through. So just be ultra careful. That's what we try and do.
Have you just sorry to interject, have you guys experienced where you make a recommendation or the client's actually asking Claude in the background, like, and then coming back to you, say, oh yeah, I've checked Claude and this is what they said about this? Because I'm getting that more. I don't know if that's just us.
Oh, Charlie.
No, I've definitely seen that. Yeah, and in certain replies, you can obviously, I think there's just certain tells, right, as well, isn't there? Like in terms of like what we're seeing, and with certain clients, it's obviously not a bad thing. It's nice just to get a reply and move stuff along. But with others, yeah, no, I think we're definitely, we've seen some of that. Yeah, for sure.
Have you guys been getting the RFPs or like the website briefs that are all just ChatGPT? And then like they'll send documents, or they'll send a lead form through into your website or something, and it's just all ChatGPT. It's like, we need website optimization with a Z. We need this, we need that. I'm like, bro, you haven't even read this. You don't even know what you haven't even looked at your own website. So I've seen a few of those from a brand or business perspective, where they're sending in these lead forms, or here's our brief for SEO for all the agencies, and it's just ChatGPT, and none of it makes sense. And then they, like, you question them on it. It's like, oh no, we didn't want that. We didn't talk about that. It's like, mate, it's in your brief, because they actually haven't even read the brief that they created on ChatGPT.
Would that be like a red flag from like a sales perspective, Anthony? Like, would you still continue to have those conversations, or would you sort of wait them out pretty early on?
To be honest, like, after being in this agency game for a while, and probably my patience wearing thin, I'd be like, mate, if you really cared about growing your business, you'd probably give more of a shit to actually put in the proper detail. Like, I don't mind you using it if you didn't know certain terms, but at least read it. Because what does that tell me as an agency? You are like, we are going to try and go through all the hoops and jumps and all that, talking to people who literally don't know what the hell we're talking about or think they know. And then, like, not even having the self-awareness or, to read it and realize this is a two-way transaction or two-way street when it comes to agencies. But I think a lot of brands and people sometimes just treat agencies like, oh, you're just an agency, we'll get another one, screw you, won't listen to you. For me, it'd be a red flag, because it's like, bro, if you're that lazy trying to pitch, when I ask you of something, or we need this or that, what are you gonna do? I might as well just ask Claude to do it for your website. No point. Cut out the middleman. Just go straight to Claude and go do SEO for this website. So yeah, it would be a bit of an amber red flag for me from a comms, like, just a few perspectives.
Yeah. What about Kevin and Charlie?
Yeah, we've not got too much of that. Maybe we don't get enough inquiries, but yeah, we're not getting those those weird RFPs. I think for us it's just more so just I think in general, like sometimes they'll ask the question to Claude. So yeah, I think you have to be on your A game. Like you have to really know what you're talking about. I mean, we do, right? But I think it does sometimes make you like double check and maybe question yourself a little bit and say, oh, maybe let me just sanity check this. Let me just see what the latest articles are around this, you know, because they're going to ask Claude, and Claude's going to bring out the latest information. So yeah, it's a challenge. I think we're having a conversation with the client, but also having a conversation with Claude at the same time, which is weird.
Big time. We've actually seen that. We've had a few clients when we were onboarding them, and we asked them what sort of bottlenecks that they have at the minute. And you'd be surprised about how many candidates are using AI to answer the questions that clients have asked, and they can see them reading off the screen as it's like spitting out the right answer. I don't know if you guys have had any of that experience, but yeah, it's crazy. Anthony, you spoke publicly as well about agency margins and the P&L side of things. Is AI SEO making retainers sort of larger, smaller, just sort of differently structured? What does that sort of look like at StudioHawk?
Probably early days now, but from what we're seeing, you'd be looking at, if you can get the structure right of implementing AI in your agency from an operational perspective, theoretically, you should be able to either do things faster, do things better, provide more value to the client, which either charge more for, or you honestly, you might hire more mid and senior talent and not hire juniors as much as you need to, because you've built those systems there, which theoretically should help you on the margins because you're doing things better. You could provide more value to the client, therefore charge more. So that's from that perspective. For us, what our aim is to try and continue to improve margins by doing things better, more efficiently, and giving more basically bandwidth to our team to either test more stuff, learn, research, because a bit of that menial stuff is done. So then they can, for what we're getting paid to do, or you can charge more, which is the strategy, commercial understanding, bigger picture stuff, while you can get far enough with some of these AI tools to do like the minutia basic tools, and then the team get to learn more and more high level tasks, strategy, understand the business more, whatever that may be. So yeah, margins should theoretically be better if you are building the right systems to then either save on headcount or reduce tool costs or reduce overheads. And then on the flip side, charge more to clients because you're providing more value.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously the mid to senior would be like a route that I know it's maybe not, you just threw it out, but we've seen a lot of companies actually not like advertise sort of mid to senior positions, but they're looking at somebody with 1 year experience that is like, can handle all of this AI stuff and use AI. Do you think it's a market that is going to benefit younger SEOs that are more AI proficient rather than somebody who's maybe been in a sort of checkbox agency for 5-6 years and is used to more of that sort of templated side of things?
So look, to be honest, I'd hate to be an 18-year-old, like 20-year-old kid now, like that trying to get a job out of uni. All you can say is like understanding it more. To be honest, those people that are inquisitive, intuitive, investigative, they have a desire to learn and nerd out a bit on SEO. You're probably going to get ahead because you'll do those other things or you've got a real passionate interest in it. So if you're a junior, you'd be like, yeah, if you can use it a bit, you can probably sell those skills and try and get things done. But fundamentally, you still need to be able to, just because you can prompt Claude doesn't mean you know the intricacies and nuance, or you've grown your experience into what the hell SEO is all about, and understanding how the systems work and understanding what it takes time to build that experience to understand how all the marketing channels come together, all the history of SEO and all of that stuff. So yes, it'll give you a bit of an advantage as a junior to understand how to prompt these things to execute on the tasks more, but to try and make that leap to mid and senior, you still need to know what the hell we're talking about. Like, hey, cool, you can put an H1 heading into a Netlify and build a website, great. But how does that, the sum of all the parts, like how does that actually impact? Someone comes to you and says, what's my SEO strategy? Like, beep boop meta description. Oh, that's not going to do nothing. So yeah, this is where still learning about the fundamentals of SEO, still like building your experience, learning, reading, going to events, being able to like build your knowledge there, because the AI is an executor tool to get things done quicker and better, but you still need to know what the hell you're doing in terms of SEO.
Awesome.
Amen.
Amen. All right, go on, Kevin. Are you saying it, man?
Yeah, I just said amen. Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, you're preaching. I'm preaching to the choir.
Awesome. Charlie, Kevin, you guys are going through hiring processes at the minute. Anthony, you scaled that team from pretty much scratch as well. What does sort of talent profile, not necessarily just a CV, but maybe a full portfolio, look like now? What you guys want to see compared to maybe what it did, 2000 or 2024, 2023 side of things?
Go ahead, go for it, Kevin.
I don't know. Is a question. I'm still trying to figure out. We've recently reorganized our team structure, because what I found is previously I was trying to hire somebody to lead technical and just be like a sole operator, but I found that quite isolating, and sometimes you don't get the benefits of somebody QAing, because I think no matter how senior you are, people are prone to make mistakes. We're all human beings. So now I think it's more so how do they fit within a pod structure? Are they able to take on feedback? Are they able to work well within a team? Are they able to ensure that things are checked for quality? I think that's what I'm looking for now. Attention to detail is like the number one thing I'm looking for now. Are they able to learn? Because even if they don't know something, that's okay. But are they able to have the attention in terms of the detail to learn that thing, learn it really well, and then apply it? And then learn something new, and then keep on learning, and that curiosity. So I'm looking for not so soft skills, but more so personality traits, I think is what I'm looking for. And do they have a passion outside of SEO? Are they interested in like this really specific thing that's a bit geeky, and they're really interested in that, because that shows that somebody's taken the time to learn something. So I'm looking for those kind of traits. That's what I'll say. So my way of hiring, in thinking what I need has changed, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so because we're smaller as well, like we have quite a flat hierarchy, so we don't have like a pod approach. So for us, kind of like that ownership and like accountability was huge, but that just kind of tied back to that cultural fit, like Kevin mentioned. So like it had to be like just a huge cultural fit for us. Which includes like the curiosity as well, not to echo like not to be a parrot and say what everyone else has said, but the models and element models actually changes so fast that Claude could drop something tomorrow, right? And what we've been working on or building could change substantially. But that like curiosity to learn is only going to be like strengthened in a way, because if you've done it once, you're just going to want to learn about the new models. And I think anyone that's kind of younger in their career as well, I think that's got to be the approach as well, right? Like I used to build affiliate sites when I didn't have a clue what was going on, and like whether it's building vibe coding or like just building stuff to kind of learn the fundamentals is so key. So we kind of wanted someone with experience, but like the cultural fit was huge for us.
Awesome. Yeah, I know everybody here is big on the cultural side of things. Anthony, I think you guys go for like the wholesome nerd as well, similar to sort of probably what Kevin's after. From like a hard skills standpoint, is there anything that you guys were maybe really focused on a couple of years ago that isn't as prevalent anymore?
For us, we've always been core values first and then cultural fit. And our model was just like trying to find people who had a bit of a personality, but had a brain, but also like could see opportunities and take those opportunities. Just trying to find people who have a willingness to learn, willingness to grow. And in SEO, this isn't a stagnant industry. This isn't like laying. Things change so quickly all the time. You need to have that attitude and that inquisitive nature to then be like, okay, I need to learn, because you just update. Like sit here 3 years ago, you had ChatGPT 3, cool, I can spin up a blog. Now you've got the actual purchasing, buying journey on Google changing to a personalized searches depending on their everything. It's not just a keyword as much anymore. So being able to, if you've got an ability to learn or desire to learn and desire to continually evolve, no matter what you do, you should win out. But like for us, we're looking at the same things, but we're probably focused a bit more now on past behavior as an indicator of future behavior. And and looking at either what they've done, and if they've never done SEO before, as Charlie said, do they have hobbies, or what are they passionate about? Have they shown that behavior to learn, showcase a drive, learn a skill, and basically just not be lazy and content with what they basically lazy and content. And then you can transpose that to, hey, you want to learn about SEO and be a junior? Cool. I've seen you built your own website, or you've done XYZ, or I can see you've done extracurriculars here and there. And that past behavior showcase that somebody's got a bit of a drive and actually a bit of pride and actually want to better themselves. And they can take that attitude and drive and desire into learning about SEO, learning about AI search, and that's what we've done in the past. That's what we're looking more to do as well.
Yeah. And it's not got to be perfect, right? I think just the having that drive, as you say, to go out there, put themselves out there to do something, to build something. Like, it's not got to be a finished product. I don't think anyone's expecting that, but like, it's just that initiative, I think, to actually do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think all of our clients have been looking for that over the last few years, whether it's like a portfolio, a side project, anything related to like the tech industry as well is always a big plus. That pretty much wraps us up. Just lastly, before we go, just a sort of quick fire AI overviews, sort of threat or opportunity going forward. Everybody.
I think it's always an opportunity. It's quite prominent. Yeah. It's at the top of Google, right? It's the first thing you see. Well, the first organic thing you see. There's so many ads. So in terms of the SERP real estate, it's like the biggest thing that SEOs have. Yes, there are lots of links and other competitor sites, etc. But it's the first thing people see. So it's always going to be an opportunity. So definitely can't discount that for sure.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Yeah, just how you kind of structuring content, producing content in the right way that speaks to your ICP and like to appear in them is I think that's the world we're living in now. So yeah, huge opportunity.
100%. From an ecom perspective, like as I mentioned, because it's going to be personalized search, because it's going to be, everyone's going to be searching differently based on history and browser cookies and just phrases and wording, what the hell they're looking for. Charlie searching for shoes is going to be different to Kevin searching for shoes, is going to be different to me searching for shoes. So that content, focusing on the content quality, being able to describe who's your ideal customer, how good is your product or service, who's your product or service ideal for, who's it not ideal for, and then being able to give that context and understanding of the product or service so that Google and these LLMs understanding as to what you do and what you offer, and then they can call it query fan it or whatever the hell they do. They then go, bang, they can review that content, say, all right, I believe, or LLMs believe, or Google believes that this is the best content, or these are the best websites, or this is the best content, and then serve that user-specific query. So, it's on, mate.
Awesome. Listen, thanks guys for joining for the first episode. Really enjoyed it. I'll link all of your sort of personal LinkedIn's, all of your company websites as well. So anybody that wants to get in touch, don't send across ChatGPT discovery brief to StudioHawk, or you'll not hear back. But yeah, no,
send them to me.
I can hear back.
Send them to
me. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.